The fastest way to level up as a video editor is to level up as a sound designer. I've been a pro editor for over 20 years, and today I'd like to invite you into my edit suite so you can watch me sound design a scene live. And please stick around to the end because I'm going to share a tip I haven't seen anywhere else. Here's our scene. This is from a public service announcement that I edited, demonstrating the physics of the impact of a car crash when you're not wearing your seatbelt. Pretty powerful stuff, and gives us an opportunity for some really cool sound design. Here's my first tip. Instead of just creating one version of the sound design, I like to create two at the same time. So I'm going to copy my clips over. Now, as I search for sounds, I can create two distinct versions that I can either combine at the end, kind of the best of both versions, or I can send two distinct versions to my collaborator and get their feedback, which I find to be very effective. I have Artlist open. That's what I'll be using for sound effects today. You might have sound effects on your hard drive, or you might use another subscription service. I love Artlist because it's searchable, and I find their sound effects to be very high quality. Then I have a Finder window where all my Artlist files will automatically download, and then my sound effects folder where I want my media stored. Where do I start with sound design? Well, I like to start with an overall ambience. We can see here that the shots are in a city, in a downtown. We're up high. I do see cars in the background. The city streets are empty. So I'm thinking I might search for city street ambience. And let's see what we've got here. Okay, that's a pretty busy street. Probably a little too busy for our purposes. Okay, that's a lot more subtle. I really like that one. So I'm going to download it. You'll see it pop up in my downloads folder. Here's another one that I think is possible. So I'm going to download that too. And now as an alternate option, I'm thinking just like a subtle wind in the background. So I'll do light wind. Kind of like that first one. We'll put the wind on one of these, chop it up. I think I'm going to use this ambiance here. Okay, and great. I'm going to slip and slide this to a better part and see what we got. Okay, gives us a nice base. Something to work with. Okay, so now that we have a nice bit of ambience, let's look at our shots. So we have a nice button press there, and I'd like to give that a sound to bring it to life. So I'm going to come over to Artlist. I'm just going to search for button and see what pops up. Okay. That's not bad. I kind of like that too, if we want to give it as if it's making a noise when you press it. Okay, so this gave me an idea. This file's called switch, so I'm going to change my search to switch. I really like the sound of that one. I think I'm definitely going to use that. So let's drag it to my folder. I'm going to put that over here. We'll line them up later. And let's hear these again. Okay, let's do the beep as an alt. Let's put that over here. And again, we'll line it up at the end. That was pretty straightforward. I saw a guy pressing a button, I looked up button, I found a sound of a button. But a lot of times with sound design, you have to be creative with your search terms because the perfect sound might actually have nothing to do with the visual. For instance, the next sound is this contraption where the dummies are situated falling over. So I might search for the term hydraulic. Let's see what that brings back. Okay, I really like that. It sounds like a machine starting. Okay, that's kind of more intense, but I think that's a good second option. So we have a sound of the machine, which is sort of a hydraulic sound, but I kind of want a sound of the dummy actually making some noise. So I might just type in object moving and see if we get lucky. Little sounds like that can be very effective. I'm going to download that one. I like the metallic nature of that. That's an interesting, subtle sound. I think I'm going to try these two. Put that there, put that there. We can stay cleaned up in our bins here. You see when I drag stuff over, it puts stuff in the root, but I can select it and get it nice in our SFX folder. And let's keep moving here. So the dummy is flying through the air. So I want some sort of gust of wind or some rustling of fabric to bring that to life. So let's look for wind gust. Pretty subtle, but I like that. Let's check out a few more before I download one. I really like that one. It really feels like something flying through the air. That one's kind of cool too. Pretty intense, but we can turn it down in the mix. Okay, so they're downloading. Bring them right in. I'll trim this up. And bring this over here. You know, another sound that I have in my mind is a sound of a flag flapping in the wind. That might give me exactly what I need, so I'm going to look for flag. That's exactly what I was looking for. It really sounds like wind on fabric. A little too high-pitched for me. Okay, that's another nice one. So I'm going to grab that. And let's bring them into our folder, stay nice and organized, and drag it over. And we can clean this up a little. Now the fun part, the crash. So let's start really basic by looking up a crash. A little too much. Okay, I kind of like that. I like the end of that. I probably wouldn't use the car tire screech, but we can cut that off. So I'm going to grab that too. Another part of this shot that I want to highlight with sound is the debris that comes off the dummy after it crashes. I'm just going to search for the word debris and see what comes up. I really like that, so I'm going to download it. I like the end of that sound as another option, so I'll grab that too. Now for effect, this edit shows the crash twice from two different angles. So we could put in 2 different crash sounds on one of the versions and see if we like that. I'm also going to look up the word impact to see if I can find a nice low-end impact to put under the crash. That's a little much. Okay, so these are not what I'm looking for. I'm going to change this search to body fall. That is pretty close to what I was thinking of. So I'm going to download that. Another good one. I'm thinking on my alternate version, I'll include a glass break or shatter on the second crash and see how that sounds. That's exactly what I was thinking. All right, so let's get in here and line some things up and level some things out. Okay, so the ambience is on track 1. We have this button sound. I'll line up here. Okay, then we have the machine releasing. I'm gonna let it play out like this. And turn down that button, make it really subtle. Okay, now we have our nice wind sounds. I really like that. I'm gonna move it over right when it comes out of the seat there. And when you see the gain go up and down, I'm just using a hotkey to adjust my gain. Didn't really like the placement of the button. Okay, that's cool. All right, so what is this? Some wind. I kind of like the front of this before it gets too crazy. I'm gonna mix this wind in low underneath this sound. Okay. All right, so we have a crash. Now remember I said I was gonna cut out the tire squealing? It looks about right here. We're gonna line this up right on impact. Okay, that's pretty cool. And what else do we got here? That's one of the body hits I found. So I'm going to mix that right on the crash. And then what is this sound? Nice debris. Okay. Looks like the debris wants to be mixed in right here. And I actually heard a little of those tire screeches. Okay, I think all the tire screeching is gone. Line this up. Okay, I heard a little beep at the end of this clip, so I'm gonna take that out. And then we're gonna duplicate it and hear it again from a different angle. All right, that is one version. I could definitely level it out a little more, but let's look at our next version. Okay, so we just want one of these buttons. And I want it to make the sound right on the button. Okay. It's cool. What do we got here? Ooh, the cool machine sound. I'm just going to use part of it. And I actually want it to start coming in before we see it. So a little sound advance. Great. Let's see what we got here. Okay, it's kind of the sound of an object. I might want to hear that on the release of the dummy and just mix it really low. Okay, I kind of liked that. Some serious wind action. I'm just going to grab this part of it. I'm going to add a fade into that. And I want the wind to make noise right up until the impact. Let's see what we got here. Okay. I think I'm just going to use the second half of this. Yeah. I'm going to mix this quietly under the wind. Oh, I kind of like this bigger part. Okay. Okay, that's our first impact sound. Line that up. Nice impact. Just need one. And then I was going to repeat these impact sounds, but I was going to add some glass. So move that over. And at the beginning of this video, I mentioned I was going to give you a tip that I haven't seen a lot of places. And that is, when you're an editor getting into sound design, figure out how to turn on subframe editing. In my case, in Premiere, I have a hotkey for that. So you'll see the time code on my timeline has now changed. So instead of moving my sound effects one frame at a time to line them up, I can actually be very exact with my placement. And that works especially well on these impacts. I want them to be right on the frame. So let's zoom in and adjust them with subframe editing turned on. So this is where I want them to start. So you see how fluid I can move this impact, and I can get it right there. I can also zoom in far past where you usually can zoom in. So let's listen to this again. So that impact is right on, and these little changes really add up. All right, so we want that right here. Let's quickly line these up. I'm going to come a little closer. Much better. Let's do it on our other version as well. Okay. All right, there are two versions. And now let's take a look at what we made. If you got value out of this video, please subscribe, and you might want to check out my free editing guide, which you can download at the link in the description. Now that you know my process for sound design, you should watch this video next. Happy editing.